You're sitting in class, one person yawns, and suddenly it's like a chain reaction. But why is yawning contagious even when you're not tired? It feels almost like your brain gets infected by the idea of yawning. In this segment, we'll break down what's happening in your head and in your social wiring and why it spreads fastest between people who actually know each other up close. First, contagious yawning often starts with a simple trigger. You see someone yawn and your brain treats that action like something worth copying. That's where mirror neurons come in. They can activate when you do an action and also when you watch someone else do it. So when you observe a yawn, those mirror neurons fire in a similar pattern, almost like your brain is rehearsing the same move. That rehearsal can turn into an automatic do it now feeling. Before you decide anything, you get a subconscious urge to yawn too. This is why contagious yawning can happen even if you slept fine. It's not just tiredness, it's your brain mirroring a scene behavior. Here's the social twist. You're more likely to catch yawns from friends and family than from strangers across the room. That pattern hints at empathy. If you're tuned into someone, your brain may mirror them more strongly, including their yawn. In that way, contagious yawning can act like nonverbal social bonding, one small shared behavior that quietly says, we're in sync. So far, we've seen how mirror neurons can turn watching a yawn into doing a yawn, and why empathy and social bonding make it spread faster between close people. But here's where it gets interesting. Empathy might not be the whole story. Some researchers think contagious yawning could have helped groups function better. Could this weird reflex have had a survival advantage in everyday group life too? One theory says yawning signals a shift in alertness, like boredom or drowsiness, broadcasting that your state is changing without saying a word. If one person's alertness drops, others catch the yawn and notice the shift too, which could help coordinate attention levels across the group. Over time, that coordination might create synchrony. Instead of everyone drifting off at different moments, the group's rhythm lines up more closely. Synchrony could matter for safety. If a group rests and refocuses together, they may avoid having half the group distracted at the wrong time. Some ideas suggest yawning could even support group vigilance, nudging everyone toward a similar readiness level. But some explanations are still theoretical. Contagious yawning isn't only a human thing. It's been observed in dogs and chimpanzees, which hints at a broader biological mechanism. Seeing it across species suggests that behavior may connect to social systems, not just individual tiredness, though the exact evolutionary purpose isn't definitively proven. Put it together and contagious yawning starts to make sense. Your brain mirrors what it sees, especially with people you care about, linking it to empathy and social bonding. And on top of that, there's the idea that yawns might help groups coordinate alertness and even boost group vigilance, though some explanations are still theoretical. Either way, a simple yawn turns out to be a surprisingly social signal in real life. You walk into a room and suddenly get that weird hit. You've been here before. The details feel familiar, like a replay, but you know you've never stepped inside. That's déjà vu, and it can feel almost too real to ignore. So, what's going on in your brain when that happens? In this segment, we'll break down a couple of leading theories and why they might create that eerie, I've lived this feeling. One leading idea is dual processing. Your brain handles incoming information in parallel, and a tiny glitch can make those tracks feel out of sync. Normally, different cognitive processes line up smoothly, like two gears turning together, but if they misalign briefly, your perception can get a strange timing error. Two key processes are familiarity and retrieval. Familiarity is the quick I know this signal, while retrieval is pulling up the actual memory details. If familiarity fires without retrieval, you get recognition with no explanation. You sense seen this, but you can't find the matching memory. That mismatch can create a false sense of memory. The moment feels pre-lived, even though your brain can't provide a real past event. Another angle involves encoding and retrieval. Encoding is storing what's happening now, and retrieval is accessing stored info when you recognize something. If encoding and retrieval activate at the same time, the brain may treat brand new input like something already stored, blurring now with before. That overlap can produce the illusion of déjà vu. A fresh moment arrives, but the brain tags it with a familiar label, like it's replaying. So far, we've seen how dual processing could create déjà vu when familiarity and retrieval don't sync, or when encoding and retrieval overlap. But here's where it gets interesting. Some theories say it's not just memory timing. What if the confusion happens in how you experience the present moment itself? That's where the dual consciousness idea comes in, and it shifts the focus from memories to awareness for a second. Dual consciousness suggests you run two awareness modes at once. One is tuned to the outside world, while another tracks your inner thoughts. Most of the time, those modes cooperate, so your experience feels unified. You notice what's happening while your mind quietly comments in the background. When you're tired or distracted, the boundary can slip. The outside focus stream and inner focus stream may get mixed up for a moment. In that mix-up, a current perception can be misfiled. You might interpret what you're seeing right now as something you're remembering. That misinterpretation can feel exactly like déjà vu. Your brain isn't finding a real past event, it's labeling the present like it came from memory. Once the brain treats the new moment as remembered, the feeling intensifies. The scene seems pre-written, even though nothing actually repeats. The result is that eerie sense of repetition. The same room, the same vibe, the same I know what happens next feeling with no source memory. Put together, déjà vu may come from a brief brain misfire, either dual processing hiccups in familiarity, retrieval, or encoding, or dual consciousness mixes up how you tag the present. These are theories, not confirmed explanations, and no single idea is definitively proven, but they help explain why the feeling is so convincing even when you can't place it. For now, déjà vu stays one of the mind's most intriguing illusions. You're mid-sentence, feeling confident, and then hic. Your body interrupts you like it owns the microphone. Hiccups are weirdly common, super annoying, and always a little mysterious. What's actually happening inside you when that sound pops out? And why do random things like soda or stress seem to set it off? In this segment, we'll break down what hiccups are and the simplest ways people try to stop them fast. Hiccups happen when your breathing muscle, the diaphragm, suddenly contracts on its own. That involuntary diaphragm spasm is the core of what you feel. Right after the diaphragm spasm, your vocal cords snap shut. That sudden closure is what creates the classic hic sound you hear. Eating too quickly can trigger hiccups because your body gets irritated and out of rhythm. Fast bites and big swallows can set off that reflex. Carbonated drinks can be a trigger too. The bubbles and extra gas can irritate your system and make hiccups more likely to start. Swallowing excess air is another common setup for hiccups. Smoking or chewing gum can make you gulp air without noticing. Sudden temperature changes can also trigger hiccups. Think hot food followed by a cold drink. Your body reacts to the quick shift. Stress, excitement, or anxiety can play a role as well. When your nervous system is on high alert, hiccups can show up. The good news is most hiccups stop on their own. The reflex usually fades as your body settles back into a normal breathing pattern. So far, we've seen hiccups are basically a diaphragm spasm followed by your vocal cords snapping shut, often triggered by food, air, or stress. But here's where it gets interesting. When hiccups won't quit, people use tricks that target nerves and breathing chemistry. Some methods aim to interrupt the reflex, others try to change what your body senses. Let's walk through what those techniques are and why they might help. One approach is stimulating the vagus nerve, which connects to lots of reflexes in your body. Changing its signals may interrupt hiccups. Holding your breath can raise CO2 levels in your blood. That shift may help reset the diaphragm and break the hiccup rhythm. Breathing into a paper bag works similarly by keeping more exhaled air around. This can increase CO2 levels and sometimes interrupt hiccups. Drinking ice water or swallowing sugar can stimulate nerve pathways in your mouth and throat. That new input may distract the hiccup reflex. Physical tricks like pulling on your tongue or pressing on your eyes are meant to jolt your nervous system. They may interrupt hiccups briefly. Pulling your knees to your chest changes your posture and pressure in your torso. That shift can disrupt the spasm pattern and slow hiccups. Biting a lemon or tasting vinegar is sometimes used as an irritation reset. The strong taste may override the signal driving hiccups. Hiccups are usually harmless, but they can feel endless when they keep firing. The key idea is that they're a reflex, a diaphragm spasm plus that snap of the vocal cords. Tricks like breath holding, stimulating the vagus nerve, or changing CO2 levels may help interrupt the loop, but not all remedies work for everyone. Next time hiccups hit, try a simple method calmly and see what works for your body first.